Hello and welcome to Africa 54. I'm Chamberlain Uso at Channels Television here in Lagos. I'm joined by Vincent McCurry at Voice of America in Washington.
Well, thanks a lot. I'm Vincent McCurry at our global headquarters in Washington, D.C. Happy to be with you again for another edition of Africa 54. Let's start off with a look at security at the Gulf of Guinea. Chamberlain Uso in Lagos brings you that story.
Well, that's right. The Nigerian Navy is hosting the 9th edition of the Obangame Express, a maritime exercise designed to improve security and regional cooperation among the Gulf of Guinea nations. This year, the event brings together about 31 participating countries, including 20 African countries and 11 allied nations.
The Chief of Training and Operations.
Military personnel of about 30 nations within and outside Africa, as well as 7 organizations, are in Lagos, Nigeria for Obangame Express 2019. The annual engagement aims to improve cooperation among countries in West Africa's Gulf of Guinea region in countering maritime insecurity.
Over the past 9 years, Obangame Express have developed trusts which have resulted in cooperation among naval personnel of Gulf of Guinea nations, the United States, Naval Force Africa, and international partners. I believe this is a laudable achievement. Trust develops further among people when they understand each other's cultures and traditions. I believe this is the wisdom and reason behind the rotational hosting of Obangame Express.
The representative of the Directorate of Intelligence, U.S. Africa Command, explains the impact of the exercise since its inception, as well as the challenges.
Today we face serious challenges at sea: an increase in illegal fishing, an increase in trafficking of weapons, narcotics, and people, the ongoing threat of piracy. And this illicit activity undermines the rule of law, undermines food security, and most importantly, it undermines economic development activities. Our efforts here today will help make this region a safer place for maritime commerce and ultimately help increase prosperity of the region.
The United States government acknowledges Nigeria's commitment to the security exercise.
I want to thank the giant of Africa, Nigeria, for graciously hosting this event. It does not go unnoticed the tremendous effort of your Navy, and by extension, your country, has put into the planning and execution of this major international maritime exercise. So on behalf of the United States government and the ambassador, I want to thank you again.
Out on the waters, participants are carrying out maritime security operations to include vessel query, shipboarding, search and rescue operations, airborne maritime patrol operations and communication drills, among others. These are all aimed at building capacity of the Gulf of Guinea navies to intercept sea criminals.
Now, to talk about the Gulf of Guinea security is a security consultant, Onyekachi Dekoya. Welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you for having me.
Now, how much success would you say that the Gulf of Guinea nations are making in ensuring the security in the Gulf of Guinea?
I think relative success has been achieved, particularly starting from 2017. At the same time, it's a bit of a mixed bag, because a lot of information in maritime security sector is managed. And it's managed because you have different interests at play. But in 2017, while we did notice at the surface level a drop in the number of cases reported, the International Maritime Bureau seems to have another perspective, because they have their own database. It does look as though the incidents are still spiking. For example, in 2018, we're rated more risky, a more at-risk zone than the Gulf of Aden, which is where you have the Somali pirates operating. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. Information is a bit scarce and managed, so you can't really place your hand on what is happening. But if you look at the incidents that have happened, Nigeria seems to take the lion's share in the number of cases reported and the number of attacks experienced. So It's a bit relative. Investment has been made. Naval asset has been purchased. There's been a bit of a seemingly collaboration between the neighboring states, but still there's still much more to be done. So I think success is a bit relative. If you look at it in terms of incidents reported, then we may not appear to be doing as much as we should be doing. So I'll leave it at that.
Is it possible for us then to gauge the kind of work that needs to be done and in what specific areas?
There are three areas that are critical to addressing the issue of maritime risk. First is cooperation. The next part is detection. The third part is response capability. So in terms of the first part being cooperation, how well are the states within the Gulf of Guinea cooperating? Nigeria is seen as the big brother in West Africa and in the Gulf of Guinea. Some reports suggest that the burden of patrolling the Gulf of Guinea and the waters just outside the coast, the territorial waters of the neighboring states in West Africa, is left to Nigeria to patrol seemingly. Because you can look at Ghana, other states, Benin, how much do they really have to invest in some of these assets? Now, Nigeria has its own problem outside Lagos, around Bonny area. So we also have militancy to deal with. And the Navy is stretched. So I think cooperation would mean neighboring states investing more, putting a bit of their money where their mouth is.
But if you look at initiatives such as the Obangame Express,
yes.
So how do we, what kind of impact first would you say that kind of program is getting? And should we do more of that?
Yes, absolutely, we should do more. I think when you have live exercises like that, it deepens the exposure of our own security forces to the most latest technology out there. It also exposes them to other naval platforms they may not have, and some applications they may also not have. So in terms of doing a live drill, I mean, it gives you near real-time scenario of what could happen, what you should be doing. And once you continue the drill, some of those trainings become second nature. So it shouldn't stop at once a year. Perhaps the Nigerian and the West African states can come together and maybe try and do something every quarter just to deepen cooperation, situational awareness, and the understanding of their space and improve communication. So more should be done.
And still talking about that cooperation, states, I mean, they can only provide or supply to the extent that they can.
Yes.
Should we be worried? What do we do? How do we handle that kind of case?
We all should be worried, basically. Nigeria has a budget constraint, as we all know. Our budget is what, about maybe 8.6 trillion, almost 9 trillion, safely say. The states in West Africa have a challenge. If Nigeria, being the biggest brother, has some financial constraint, then that will impact on every other thing, including security. So, ability of the states to invest impacts negatively on maritime security. Now, there are two issues to maritime security. You need to look at the shore, the onshore side of it and the at-sea side of it. You can, a pirate or piracy cannot continue to exist without access to land. Those pirates need a forward operating base to operate from. Because government resources are stretched and you don't have enough assets to go into the creeks, some of the creeks around the Gulf of Guinea are safe havens to themselves. So you even need lighter vessels to be able to get in there. All these things cost money. Nigeria has the largest stake because along that channel, the bulk of our crude exports and our imports, because we're greatly import dependent. So a lot of things, we have more at stake, but then our neighboring states need to invest more.
So clearly we'll have a job of work to do.
Yes.
All right, Onyekachi Adekoya, security consultant, thank you for joining us today on Africa 54.
Thank you for having me.